Hey everybody, today I'm going to clean up the firewall. I'm going to hopefully do the engine mounts and get some measurements, which I keep saying but it never happens, so it's probably just a dream. And then whatever else comes down the pike. Good morning everybody, it's another gosh dang beautiful day in Arizona. Beautiful sunny skies. What we have here today is some carnage left over from yesterday. I went to the store yesterday, got myself some respirators for next weekend's spray, some drop claws, these awesome red scuff pads, which are going to work out great for the tubes that I need to do for the front suspension. I have all my black spray painted pieces from yesterday curing, and some of the tools that came in. I finally got my Clecos. These things came out of California and they came to Arizona, and then they went back to California, and then they came back to Arizona, and it was supposed to be like 2 days, and like 10 days later they finally showed up. And it was funny because the day before they showed up, I actually emailed the company and said, these things are taking a trip around the world. How about we send a new pack because I'm a week behind. And all of a sudden the next day they showed up, so that's cool. And I let them know that so they didn't have to send another pack because I'm cool like that. We're not trying to rig the system. So because of that, I'm going to try to work on the firewall today, and we're going to try to see if we can clean this stuff up. And also, there's a panel here that needs to be cleaned up from this kind of getting in the way. So we're going to clean up those cuts on each side, get that stuff happening. And then we're going to pop some holes in here, throw some Clecos in. Now I'm under the impression that I'm going to actually do riv nuts on this. And I don't know anything about riv nuts. So I think I'm going to be able to drill smaller holes, put some Clecos in just to lock this thing in, and then drill bigger holes and do the riv nuts, but I'm not sure about that. Seems logical to me, but not sure. And then what I also bought was some special sealed goggles, but it's breathable with non-fog, because if I'm going to be underneath the car drilling, because two of these bottom plates actually go underneath the car, I want to make sure that none of this stuff gets in my eyes. And I'm kind of known for like nuances happening to me. I've had acid in my eyes. I've had all sorts of weird stuff happen to me. I've had rust in my eyes where they had to drill it out with like a dentist tool. Crazy ass stuff. So I'm doing whatever I can to protect myself. Now, on that note, when it comes to safety, if you see me in some of these videos where I'm not wearing a dust mask or, let's say, eye protection, and I'm doing something at this table, you might be thinking, oh, Jim's not taking care of himself, but actually not true. With this big, huge freaking swamp cooler, stuff's blowing right by me. So, like, there's no dust. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's probably a 2% dust or whatever, but no, this thing's been blowing by me. And that's even true when I did the spray painting. All the after spray was getting blown out of the area. So I'm always, you see me using rattle cans and I'm using respirators, so you know that I'm on top of it. So that's about it. So let's see what we could accomplish today. So what I'm going to do now is mock up the engine mounts. I'm putting an LS engine in this car, and so these are not the mounts that normally come with the car. It's a special LS package. So I'm going to mock these up, see where it goes in the car, and then maybe from there I could double check whether this standard hood is actually going to fit or not fit, and I need the raised hood. So it's about 11 a.m. on Sunday, and what I'm realizing is if I do a nice 8-hour day on Saturday, I'm in 97-degree heat all day long in the garage, and then the next day I can put in like a few hours, and then I just kind of peter out. I just don't have the energy to keep going. And I'm assuming that's mainly the heat. If I had air conditioning, I'd probably keep working. But I think there's also a sense of letting it soak in your head and just trying to, make sure you got everything dialed in and where do you want to go from there. So for instance, I drilled a bunch of holes in my firewall that all meet the frame, but I did it for 3/16 rivets so I could use the clecos to hold it on. But I believe I'm going to go riv nuts, which I believe is a bigger hole. And so I'm going to have to re-drill all those. And I haven't drilled into the frame yet because now I'm thinking about all the things that need to go behind the dash. So there's like power steering controller, there's the fuse box, there's the air conditioning unit, there's the CPU of the engine. And with all the add-ons that I put on, mainly the air conditioner and the power steering, the space back there, I might not be able to fit everything. So I have to actually start looking into that. And with the new versions of air conditioning, they want you to put the holes in the top right corner of that curve. But if I could get along with putting it below, which I'm not sure, I believe I found that there's something else going there, like fuel lines or something. But if not, I would love to have it come down from below because it's a lot cleaner looking. So, and I would have to get extra hoses and all that because they only gave you short hoses to get to the top. So there's a lot of like what ifs going on, and I have to kind of sift through all that stuff and figure it out. And so I think that's the next step is I'm going to go through and start grabbing like my power steering controller, and my CPU is still actually like all greased up from the old car, so I have to actually degrease that and just start figuring out where it's going to be mounted and stuff. And I also put some kind of mocked up where maybe the brake reservoirs are going to go, but I'm actually not liking where it is. It's hitting too much into the frame areas and different things like that. And I could have mocked that up on the other side, but I knew it was a guesstimate anyways. I just wanted to throw something up there just to get an idea of where I'm at. So once I put everything in the back of the dash, we're going to have a better idea where stuff is going, because I don't want to mount it where I can't get the fluid to come through the other side. So we're going to figure all that out and just kind of piecemeal it as it goes. Well, as you saw, the LS CPU is pretty huge, and so I'm not really sure how that's going to even fit in the dash area of the car. I called to see if there was like some extension cables, so maybe I can mount it in the trunk or whatever, but because of the resistance of the cable and yada yada yada, no, you can't. You have to keep it within 4 feet of the engine. So that's going to complicate some stuff since I have the air conditioner and the power steering controller and all these other things going on. So I'll have to figure all that out. I'm a little bit jumping the gun a little bit, putting that stuff in, but again, it's just getting myself acclimated, kind of taking things, slowly at a time. For me, I work anywhere from 60 to 80 hour weeks. Then I'm researching like 20 hours. Sometimes 30 hours, plus I'm in the garage for about 20 or 30 hours, like every waking second. So sometimes when I'm doing all this stuff, it's so much information that I'm like, yeah, I got it. And 3 days later, I'm like, what was that again? Because there's no dead time. It's just info, 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 info.
And so, you know, some of these videos I'll be watching if I do a second car to go, what did I do before? You know, and, you know, I probably, if I do a second car, will not want to switch to a Ford engine or anything like that because I'm just starting to understand how the LS engine works. And so let's stick with what we know and keep going. So that's kind of where my head's at. But we're going to keep trucking on with this stuff. And man, if you love what's going on, please support the channel, hit the subscription, hit the notification keys, and see you next time. Have a great day.